second deal sharing session of this deal sharing spring. We have a spring, like the word says, we have a spring full of deal sharing sessions hosted from different locations this time. We're in The Hague today. We were in Milan before. We will be in Vienna for our next session on the 1st of June. So pencil it in your agenda or write it with a pen in your agenda, because we would be happy to receive you there as well. My name is Martijn Blom. I'm the lead of EVPA, the Impact Funds Initiative within EVPA. And I'm hosting all these deal sharing springs. We have a little bit more on the first session to get back to you a little bit on what we've discussed in the session before, because we've recorded it. We have nice recordings, so we want you to have a look if you're interested. Also today, we have the deal sharing on the topic of environment, sustainability, circular, kind of ranging from software and tech around solar energy towards a local Dutch tea producing company, which is the one and only, if I've understood right, tea producing company on European soil. So I don't know if our partners are online as yet already, but I especially like to welcome Sven of 4Impact, who will be presenting their cause and their venture they'd like to share with all of you. And I would like to welcome as well Marijn of DOEN Participaties, who will be presenting the company, the LocalTea producing company. For now, before I continue, I'd like to hand over to Irene, because today our partner in The Hague is The Hague Impact City, who kindly allowed us to record this from their studio here in The Hague. So Irene, what is Impact City? Can you tell a little bit more about what you're doing?
Of course. Well, thank you. First of all, very happy to be hosting this together with you again from the city of The Hague, Impact City. And from our studio here in Apollo 14. And what is Impact City? I think a lot of you already have heard about us, either on our yearly event Impact Fest or at other deal sharing sessions. But Impact City is part of the municipality of The Hague, and we are building a leading impact ecosystem in Europe. And all of this to facilitate entrepreneurs to be able to land here in The Hague and to be able to further grow and scale their business. And we don't do that just by ourselves. We do that with a lot of partners, of which EVPA, but also DOEN, Stichting DOEN, and 4Impact, all part of this deal sharing session. And we try to see what is needed for entrepreneurs to be able to scale their business. And together with all of these partners, we try to build programming necessary for these entrepreneurs to help them grow. And one of the examples, of course, is Impact Fest, where this whole ecosystem comes together. And it's going to be in October this year again. So happy, please join and stay updated on what's happening. But we're also, for instance, running a program called the Impact City Accelerator program, where we help entrepreneurs to accelerate their business, and also with a lot of partners. So, and I can talk for hours about all the things that we do, but I think this is not the reason why we're here. So again, thank you for being here and for letting us host this with you, and looking forward to hearing the pitches.
Great, thank you. Thank you, and maybe we can use the studio one more time, but that's something to be discussed later, because our third deal sharing, we'll have to find out fourth deal sharing that will be where we will host it from. But before continuing actually to our pitches, I would like to look back at the last deal sharing that we had, which I think was one of the greatest sessions that we had in the sense of content and the presentations that we had with some great companies presenting. But unfortunately, the audience was not as big as we hoped it to have been. So we'd like to kind of draw some attention back to that deal sharing. We've recorded it like we are recording this one. So we want to provide the opportunity to have a look back at our members and the deals that have been sharing here. And luckily, we are in The Hague today. And actually, one of the people that was presenting in that first deal sharing is based in The Hague. Keith, can I invite you to come with us here at the table and share a little bit about HEVO's impact investments and the deal that you wanted to share in the first session, that you have shared in the first session, so that we hear a bit more. Don't do the whole pitch. We got the recordings, but please introduce yourself, HEVO's impact investments, and go ahead.
Thanks, Martijn. Unlike you, I'll keep it very short. Martijn and I go back a long way, and in fact, HEVO's impact investments, you were there from the start before you moved on to the EVPA. And we're settled here in The Hague. We are an impact investment fund. And that means to say that we invest in companies in Southern Africa in the food sector. In fact, I have two colleagues that are here, and maybe we can highlight them on screen as well. I know Aurelia is there. If you can bring up Nzamwa and Bernice. Nzamwa, Bernice. I think it's good that I don't tell a great deal about HEVO's impact investments, but you do. So Nzamwa, where are you? I see you there with the purple background. There we go. Nzamwa.
Yes, good morning, everyone, and thank you for having us on the call. And thank you, Keith. My name is Nzamwa. I'm based here I'm based in Lusaka, and I'm part of the HEVO's impact investment team. We make equity investments in food and agriculture companies in Southern Africa, paying a specific bias towards Malawi, Zambia, and South Africa. So these are companies that are not just running for the sake of having a business that's making money, but they're also deliberate about contributing towards the planet or people. And they do this via various SDGs that they deliberately target. So these are the companies that we like to get involved with. I do the due diligence with these companies just to see the nitty-gritties of how exactly they are creating this impact and how exactly their business model makes sense, such that they're able to balance between getting financial returns and impact returns, because we're really quite specific on that. And it's really been interesting because we have had companies, and we do see a great deal of companies coming through in our pipeline that are able to tackle these two aspects in doing business. But the person who actually gets to the first interaction with companies is Bernice. And so I'll just give Bernice the floor to also just give an introduction and say a few things. Thank you.
Thanks, Nzamwa. Good morning, everyone. I'm really looking forward to the session. So yes, my name is Bernice Robertson. I'm based in Johannesburg, South Africa. And the total investment process starts with me, where I would do a screening on the companies and see that they match our impact criteria, most importantly, as well as the financials. Also keeping it short and sweet, I'll hand back to Keith. Thanks.
Well, Bernice, that is as short and sweet as I could have hoped for. Thank you so much. But I want to say it's important to actually show Bernice and Nzamwa, because one of the things that I think sets us apart from a lot of the other impact investors is that we're owned and operating across two continents. So we have shareholders here in Europe as well as in Africa, and the team, 2/3 of it is based out of Africa. But we're a proud member of the ecosystem here, with working together with Impact City whenever we can. And that's why I really want to say thank you to you, because you're having this next session, but I have to draw away from The Hague for a moment, because I want to go to one of the companies that we presented.
Please, yeah.
And that company was Soweto. Now, I wasn't the one that did the last visit to Soweto. That was actually Nzamwa. So Nzamwa, I'm calling you back up.
Most definitely. So Soweto is a company in Malawi, and they're last mile distributors of agro-veterinary products to livestock farmers in Malawi. So their business model is very interesting, because they do not just target they do not have agro-vet shops for farmers that can easily access them within the urban areas or maybe peri-urban areas, but they actually target farmers in the rural areas who also need these services because of the livestock mortality that they noticed. So this company has been in our pipeline for over about 2 years now. And yeah, we have seen this company grow. The last time we did a site visit, we got to see how ambitious the company is, in the sense that they're no longer they're also adding to the business model in that they now want to start manufacturing some of these agrovet products because it's become expensive to actually import them. They import some of these from the Netherlands, they import it from India. And because of COVID, they faced quite the challenge. But what's also been interesting to see is despite the challenges that we had with the borders closing, etc., the company has still grown in revenues. I think this year they're targeting to hit $1 million since our investment, and we're very excited to support them and see that this comes to pass. So Ziweto really scores good on impact. So we actually are very happy to see the number of farmers that are signing up. When we were doing the site visit, we got to see the new agrovet shops. We saw the new manufacturing plant that they're opening. And they could also crack some jokes about how we can't, when they see a chicken crossing the road, they're like, that's one of our clients, so be careful when you're driving. Because that's the extent they really go to make sure that everybody in the rural areas especially is able to access these veterinary services with extension workers. And so it's a really interesting business model. And they're really interesting.
I mean, one of the things that I want to point out, because I think you did it, that this company has entrepreneurs, they have humor, and they really took that adage of get out on your bike. And when COVID hit and customers couldn't come to them, they bought a fleet of bicycles and sent their veterinary officers out on bicycles to go to the farmers. They didn't see COVID as an excuse, they saw it as an opportunity to build their business. And the reason that we put them up as one of the companies we wanted to share is that we don't get excuses from Ziweto. We get, these are our issues, let's look at how we get to the next level. And they're looking at raising money so they can set up new divisions of the company so they can not just buy in from Europe, but manufacture in the country. So when we talk about impact, it's not just how many people we're employing, but actually moving industry to Africa, building things up. And we've done that with some of our other companies. I think you know Hortinet, one of the others. We stepped in because in Malawi, 80% of the banana crop rots because it can't get to market. There's a glut at one time of the year and then it all goes. So together with Martijn, we put money in to have solar dryers to dry the crop and to make it available the year round. And in that way, it can be sold for a great deal more. That company now has deals with the UN to replant the whole of the banana crop in the country, which hasn't been replanted since the 60s. And they're now providing that out to the smallholder farmers. So we really see with our companies that impact is key. Maybe they don't make the greatest financial returns, much like the fund, but we weren't set up to do so. Hivos Impact Investments is there as the people that wouldn't invest in other things. We try things, we're on the bleeding edge. We want to work only with local entrepreneurs. So no expat entrepreneurs that fly in and think they can fix things in Africa. We're past that. It needs to be a local entrepreneur, and that's someone with a passport of the country that we invest in that is able to set up and run their business. We don't know better than they do. We can only facilitate. And we're looking for other partners. And I put this out to the EVPA, also to Impact City. We'd love to work together with others to be able to do this more. And for that, we need more money, more partners. And yeah, at Hivos Impact Investments, we're really open to see how we can work and make more of these investments and pass them on to our EVPA colleagues and Impact City colleagues.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you. And this is what deal sharing is about. I have to stop you here because I know you will be pitching your whole portfolio, which has a lot of great companies in there. Especially on the Ziweto case, if you want to hear it from the horse's mouth, we have it recorded. We have the full pitch, and we will be able to share it later. So thank you, Keith. You remind me how fun it is to have a friend over pitching together in the studio. You're so much a better presenter than I am. So let's do this more often. Thank you for joining us today, and let us move on to the first pitch. Actually, before moving to the first pitch, I was just thinking how fun it is to do this with a friend together. And actually, I'm interviewing a friend on stage soon in Cork at the annual conference of EBAN. I will be interviewing Jamie Gooey, familiar to some of you, former EVPA colleague. Now working with Shaping Impact, also from The Hague. If you are interested in that, it's probably going to be recorded as well. But of course, it's always better and more fun if you can join us in Cork in 2 weeks, 3 weeks. It's the 18th and the 19th. It will take place.
It's a small world, right?
It's a small
Meeting
world.
all these same people again all the time.
Exactly. And talking about a small world, actually you make a nice bridge again, because I like to move over to the first pitch of today that will be introduced by Marijn. And actually Marijn and I have met years and years ago for the first time as well, when Marijn was still working on one of the famous, or maybe one of my favorite social enterprises back in the day. No, I can't see you now, Marijn. Maybe you could. There's Marijn. Hi, Marijn. Which was a sustainable sneaker concept, actually, if I remember well. Marijn was one of my favorites. So, sorry to put you on the spot like this with your former company while you're about to present DOEN, but I needed to share it with the community because it really was one of my favorites. Marijn, welcome in the call today.
Thank you, Martijn. Good morning, everyone. Yeah, that's a long time ago, and well, I could pitch that one too over here, but let's give the floor to LocalTea. Yeah. I'm calling on behalf of DOEN Participaties, part of the DOEN Foundation. We are well, already for 25 years, one of the biggest impact investors. In the Netherlands, we have a focus on, well, Europe, Eastern Africa, and India. We have a portfolio of 80 companies at the moment. We invest in the circular economy, energy transition, social ventures, and durable food systems. Well, one of the companies we are looking at the moment is LocalTea. The founder, Johan Jansen, will explain you more about the concept later, but I will give a brief intro why we are looking at the venture at this stage. We didn't close yet, but we are about to. When we close the upcoming weeks and months, the venture will be looking for an extra impact investor. So that's also why we are pitching it at the EVPA at this point. So LocalTea, it's a Dutch producer of tea with our own estate and plantation in the Netherlands. Johan Jansen, the founder, you will meet him in a few seconds. He became the first breeder of tea in Europe with a pending patent of the tea plant, which can grow in cold conditions. And that makes this venture pretty unique. And that's also why we find it interesting, because of the actual Dutch tea, you can apply like a full local for local concept. We, as an impact fund, believe in, well, a local for local principle. It can also contribute to a transparent chain. The tea chain faces comparable problems as the coffee chain. So, for example, deforestation, use of pesticides, the export is being dominated by corporates, and labor conditions. The concept of LocalTea, because they can grow it in different countries across Europe, so it's not only applicable in the Netherlands. Johan will explain more about that later. But it's a super scalable concept in the end. Also true entrepreneurship of the founder himself. And there's already a proven traction in retail, because they already sold in some supermarkets. Over the last year, several investors showed interest. There are already in the cap table some interesting investors with very big impact track records. Well, that made the case for us also extra interesting. Yeah, the last months, Johan and his team specifically chose to talk with impact investors for this funding round. So together with Fair Capital Partners, we are performing a due diligence and we are rounding it up well over the last couple of weeks. In the upcoming months, we will be looking for a third strategic / impact investor, and probably the ticket size is going to be well, a minimum of 500K, but it could be a bit more as well. So enough about the investor side now, where you all came for. You can hear it from the founder himself, Johan Jansen, and his colleague Dionne.
Hey Marijn, thanks. Can you all hear us? Okay, great, thanks. My name is Johan, founder of LocalTea.
Yeah, and I am Dionne, and I am, amongst other things, also the tea maker.
Let me start with how it all began. 13 years ago, I traveled a lot in China for half a year, and I was a tea drinker. My grandfather was a big tea drinker, and I was a plant enthusiast. And I was 3 weeks in Yunnan, where I learned to make tea, and I made black tea, green tea, white tea, and they were all made of the same plant, of the Camellia sinensis, and that triggered me and catched me, because me as a plant enthusiast and a tea lover, I didn't know that. And I already had a company in unique plants, special plant Zundert. And that's where the idea began to also adapt that plant suitable for Europe and in special plant. That turned out to be a bit more challenging than expected, because it took us 8 years to get to a tea plant that was interesting enough for the European climates. But since we already also had other plants in development, we could combine it, and we managed to make a scalable plant.
Can we go to the next slide? I don't know who is responsible for. Okay, thank you. Well, already 30% of consumers choose local, aware, and sustainable products. And for a lot of food groups, there are solutions for this, but none for tea till now. We have a tea assortment from local plantations, and every country has there's the possibility to have their own tea plantation with the consumer brands of local tea in every country. So in Belgium, there will be Belgium tea, it will be local tea Belgium, and in Germany, local tea Germany, etc. We have a patent production of local tea, so local tea has growing rights on the plants, and we work with licensees. We have from seeds to products, the entire chain fully self-administered, and we control every part of that chain. And we are the only award-winning tea producers in Europe. Can we go to the next slide? Well, in 2018, we took part of the EVPA Teas of the World contest in Paris. Over 200 countries sent in their teas, and it got judged by a jury. And our green tea won the 4th place on the podium with countries such as China, Japan, Taiwan. So that was really the last confirmation that we needed to share our tea with everyone. And we also won prizes as entrepreneurs, such as the Sustainable Young Ones, the Food Top 100, etc. And this provides us with a lot of free publicity. And we didn't have a big budget the last few years, so that was really important for us to really get the story out. Can we go to the next slide? Well, our cups of tea make impact. The Young Academy of the University of Amsterdam did an independent research, and they found out that with producing our tea locally and comparing it to other big tea brands, for water and energy, we save up to 99%, and with CO2, we save up to 96%. Because we have a very short transparent chain, the plant doesn't need heating or anything, we have a closed water system, etc. We also work with true cost accounting, so the impact on nature and man that a product has. And our contribution focuses mostly on nature, so we work with renewable, sustainable packaging, we don't use pesticides, etc. And we also focus on SDG 12, so responsible consumption and production, because a lot of food now goes to waste. And we produce, we can, we can produce what the market needs. So we don't have to overproduce.
And like Marijn said, it's very scalable, so it's very easy for us to adapt to that. We can go to the next slide.
Yeah, in this slide, you see the current tea chain, and this is where we make the biggest impact. The current tea chain is the upper chain. So the upper half, you see that there's 6 chains before it gets to the consumers. And this chain takes an average on 3 to 4 months before it's to the consumers. And it's about 3,000 to 4,000 kilometers of traveling before the tea is there. Below you see our tea chain, which is already shorter. And it's we have an average of 1 month time that the product from our field gets to the consumer. And what's also not visual here is that the current tea chain of the 6 chains is a model where what stands to innovation, which holds innovation, because all the chains want to keep it as it is. And it's only 4 big multinationals that do the sales for those big lines. And because we are showing the craftsmanship and the true making of tea, people also get the chance to get to know CTC tea and the craftsmanship of true teas. And that's why there gets an upgrade of the tea assortment in Europe. Can we go to the next slide, please? So where are we now in the markets? We are in around 1,200 supermarkets, national in the Plus, national in the Coop, in the city stores of Jumbo, in the franchisees of Albert Heijn, Holland & Barrett and Gorillas. And we are in out of home with Sligro, Macro, Bitfood. Our main focus is on the retail. We are in negotiation with Albron, Albert Heijn nationwide, and yeah, some other small retailers in the countries. Our main focus is in the Netherlands and Belgium, and we are already preparing the negotiations in countries next to that.
Yeah, because in Belgium, in Delhaize and Bioplanet, there is Belgian tea. So there's not Dutch tea in there, but there's Belgian tea, because we also have a plantation in Belgium.
Correct. Yeah, next slide, please.
Well, here you see an overview of our retail packaging. You see the difference between the Dutch one and the Belgian one, but we chose a style which is really easy to adapt to other countries. So the story everywhere is overall the same. Only the taste of the assortment can be different. In Belgium, for example, we see that an evening tea is much more popular than in the Netherlands. So there we have an evening tea. So we do translate the assortment to the country. Next slide, please. And this is our out-of-home assortment. The packaging are a little bit bigger. There are more tea bags in them, and the tea bags are also single wrapped. In retail, we don't have that because we want as less packaging material as needed. But in out-of-home, it is a big must-have. We also have an online assortment, and these fit through the mailbox. Next slide, please. Sorry. Now, our purpose: we serve consumers a high-quality, fresh, fair, and sustainable local tea. Our core values is that we are fair, transparent, work in a local, sustainable way for both people and planet. In 2040, we are the biggest local tea producers in Europe, which is a little bit funny because we already are, because we are the only one who can do this. But and our mission: we make local tea hot in Europe and beyond. And we are also now sharpening our purpose and our mission, because we think we make a huge difference with our CO2 reduction. So that can be more, we can be more communicating about this. Yes, next slide, please.
So yeah, the expansion through Europe we are mainly focused on Netherlands and Belgium for the coming 2 years. And we'll prepare the negotiations and the discussions in France and Germany after that. Netherlands and Belgium, we want to get more foot to the ground and a better understanding of the core model, so that we make a fast entry and fast approach to France and Germany. Next slide, please. So how do we control the model? Is that we have growers. So in Belgium, we make Belgian production. In France, we make France production. In Germany, we make German production. We have a licensee model for the production partners. In every country, we try to have multiple production partners. They do that as a licensee, and we do the rollout of the brand. We have a model that we can, in countries that are not interesting for us, that we can give a license to other companies for the brand, sorry. But we are not yet seeing options for that, or we don't see that as a good model. But the license is there, and it is a possibility. So yeah, the main focus is to expand in Netherlands and Belgium. So also in Netherlands, we need more extra production partners, and in Belgium, we need extra production partners. That will be the first steps.
And on the next slide, please.
Yeah, is there another? Oh yeah. So thank you for your attention. Know that you already make impacts by drinking a cup of local tea, and
it's as easy as that. We would love to share a cup of tea with some of you.
Something. Are there any questions?
Anybody? Are there any questions from the room? We invite you to open up your mic and your camera if you have, and to speak up. Nobody from the room?
Well, yeah, I would love to kick off if I can. Well, thank you for your presentation. The both of you was very clear, and I cannot wait to get some local tea. So very good to hear. I had a question if it comes to the producers that you're looking for in other countries. Are those producers producing only the tea for local tea, or do they produce next to other crops or other things that they're farming?
So it's basic farms. They don't need many facilities. They only need cold store, greenhouse, or tunnels. They can produce other products. Mainly that is also the case, because we prefer that they are biological or organic already approved. And so then they also have other crops, and we can combine the model.
Yeah.
And the needs for the tea plants are very low. So it can, even a lettuce grower or somebody that grows radish already has the facilities that can grow the tea plant. And the tea plant, you know, it's actually a tree, so it will remain more than 100 years. So in that case, it's for them mostly a more easy case than other crops they have, that they have to shift multiple times in a year.
Mm-hmm.
And from an investor, an impact investor perspective, for us also, it's interesting if the local tea business case is that interesting for other greenhouses, then it could potentially replace other polluting industries, like, for example, the flower. Well, some of the flowers produced in the Netherlands. And if this business model of local tea is more interesting, you could actually offer this to these growers who can potentially make impact then by growing local tea.
And I think it's also interesting for growers, because now they are very dependent on prices that are shifting every year. With local tea, we have a steady price for what they harvest. So it's more stable model than what most growers now have.
And over the countries, we already see that the partners are indeed, like Marijn says, companies that in the past did very intensive flowers or tomatoes or paprikas, and the ones that are building off. those are the partners that are really suitable for our case, because they want to make less costs and they want to go to a stable model with stable income, and that's what we can offer for them.
And also to add on for the greenhouses, they are not artificially heated. So and also exactly. Yeah. So and that's also an important aspect. I mean, to grow, well, for example, mangoes in the Netherlands, I mean, to apply that local for local concept, that would be impossible, because then you have like a heated greenhouse. So that's an important component. And maybe, Johan, you can also talk about the reuse of the water in the...
Yeah, so like we do it in the Netherlands and in Belgium, there it's in greenhouses and tunnels, and it's a total closed loop. So it's like a biodome. All the water that is used is also recycled and used again. All the organic fertilizers are used again. So that's why you have very small needs and a very high outcome. And it's the same with the heating, because it's in a tunnel or in a greenhouse. We are harvesting in February, we're harvesting until October, and we harvest now every 2 weeks. So that's a very high outcome, and that's why we can build a competitive model quite rapidly.
Great. Thank you. I see a question of Mika. I know Keith has a question. He's never short of questions. But before, I have a question myself as well. Maybe I've missed it, but do you have a bit more to share on what your proposition is to the investors in the room? When do you want to join them? Like what is your investment proposal right now? Could you elaborate a little bit on that, please?
Yeah, we can. Well, we are finishing up with the details, but it will be from half to end of this year that we are searching. And yeah, if there's more details that you're looking for, please ask us.
So yeah, so and to add on this, Martijn, so the Johan is looking for multiple investors in this round. So DOEN and Fair Capital partners are rounding up the due diligence, and if we have a green light on everything, we will close somewhere the upcoming weeks. But we leave a possibility for other impact investors to join, because we expect for the upcoming years, as you can see on the roadmap, that we try to scale the concept to multiple countries. So much funding is needed eventually, depending on how fast it grows. We prefer that we have deep pockets and strong allies to grow the company in the right way. And this ticket will be, I mentioned it briefly in the beginning, but the tickets will be a minimum of 500K, open like probably the entire year. But if somebody's already interested, in the upcoming months, that's possible, but later in the year also.
Also more long-term.
Yeah, maybe also an interesting add-on is that in the management team, like a couple of weeks ago, somebody with a strong tea background, but then from a corporate perspective, sales background, joined LocalTea as well. So that's interesting to mention, because he has experience how to grow it, and especially how to grow the company in the retail industry. But we also see a lot of potential online, that's still a lot trying to gain there, but there's huge potential, we think, in growing the company online.
Thank you, Marijn. So it's really how to grow that. You mean how to scale the company, right? Not how to grow the tea. That's what
Scaling means growing tea.
Mika, I see you you put out, yeah, there you are. I saw a question popping up in the screen. Do you mind asking it yourself, please?
Yeah, I mean, cool guys. See a lot of big figures on the savings. Could you just tell us a little bit where the savings, how the savings are made?
And with the savings, you mean on
water, CO2, and this type of things, impact, of course.
Yeah. And the question was, how do we do it, or?
Yeah, I mean, it's significant figures. So where does it come from?
Well, they with the research, they looked at other big brands, and they really started at the plantations, and because a lot of the CO2 is on food miles. So they really looked, okay, where's the plantation? Where does it get? Where does the tea get made? Where does it get blended? Where is it packaged? And when does it come to the Netherlands? So they really took the entire tea chain of the other brands, which was really hard because they weren't open in their information. So they used the most efficient and best route the tea could possibly take. And that they compare to us. But when you look at food miles, we only have about, I don't know, the biggest food miles is from our plantation to the supermarkets, which is like 300 kilometers at most. So there is a big reduce of CO2. Also, when we water the plants, like we said, we have a closed circular water system, which reuses the water every time. And with other plantations, it is mostly that they are extra watering the crops, but it disappears in the ground. So in that way, there is a lot of water we save. And also on the energy, we don't need heating or anything. And it's in production-wise, we also do it in the most lean way. I don't know how to say it. And that's also a big difference. So they use a lot of energy in their processing. And I think that's what we didn't mention, is that we make the tea with craftsmanship and not with. And more than 90% of what people now drink is CTC tea, which stands for crushed tear curl. And that is a production process where they chop off half tea plants. It goes into a big shredder, it gets heated. And there's, I don't know how you say it, gruis?
A small
yeah,
fraction.
dust like end product. And there are artificial coloring, flavoring, you name it. That gives people a tea experience. But we really make the tea from the 2 leaves and the buds. Those are the young tops of the tea plant. They contain all the nutrients, flavors, smells, taste of tea. And we process only those young leaves. And because of that, we don't need artificial anything. And we have a very lean process in the tea making.
And to answer your question as well, Mika, the research was done by the UvA, Amsterdam University, and they measured it in an LCA. So if you are interested, we can share it in future negotiations so that you understand how it's built up and how it's calculated.
Yeah. Great. Thank you for this answer. We have 2 more questions before moving to the next round. So first question is to keep the answers short and concise for the next 2 questions. And before moving over, Mick, I can see why you're interested in this. You're doing a lot of work in the clothing, in the apparel industry, where some savings can be made as well, still, which is one of the reasons why it's, of course, part of the impact industry. Mick works at MVU. He's our co-host at the last deal, spring of the deal sharing spring that we have organized together. So keep an eye on it. It will be later in June. But we don't have a date set yet, but it will be around 26th, 28th, 27th, around that call in June. But keep an eye on the agenda for it. So thank you, Mick, for that. Before moving to the last question by Magdalena that I've seen in the chat, Keith, I promised you to ask. I saw your eyes light up almost a little bit when the tea making process was shared. You're a tea fan, I know. So yeah, come on, join me at the table for the question.
I wanted to say how much I love this company. And my question is, I think that dust in a bag is not tea. Tea comes loose leaf and made with a string.
Exactly.
But maybe that's my British side. But my question was, are you hand picking the top buds?
No, we have especially, we made a machine ourselves, which is like, I don't know how to describe it, like a big lawnmower, but we can set it in height. And when you walk over our plantation now, you see all the young tops are now sticking above the tea plants. So it's really easy to set it in height, and then it will only pick the young tops.
I love that, because I was wondering where the real saving came from, and I think we've just found it. But my other point, and this is one that comes from a little bit of knowledge, Tregnathon, I think, was growing tea in Cornwall from about 1998 onwards. They've been growing, they've been marketing. So my question is, why is this the time to invest in the brand? Because people in the last 20 years haven't cottoned on to the fact that local tea is possible. So why is this the time?
Well, then we have to go a bit back to the history. So I need a bit of time for answering this.
Shortly.
Short.
Then just the main, because your question is really good. But the big difference is that our tea plantations are scalable. The one in Cornwall, for example, or in the Azores, those are not. Those are old plants from like 300 years ago, and they are giving yield. But they give yield like 2-3 times a year, and we get yield like 20 to 25 times a year. So also in cost price, we are able to match the target group. Their cost price is like, I don't know, 500 times higher than ours. So it's beautiful tea, but that's a very niche market. And we are really trying to...
we have a competitive scalable model.
Yeah, your lawnmower answered the question, my second question anyway, when I heard you mention it.
But it's not only the lawnmower, it's also the plant genetics that can shift throughout Europe and have a competitive model.
And we also sell the tea plants to consumers. So they can really, be very enthusiastic. But also people can make tea themselves at home. If you buy a tea plant, go make your own tea. So it's really much more coming into the houses of people.
And come over for a cup of tea, then we show you.
I was just going to suggest that actually, because we were talking about small world and living in a small world, but I actually live not too far away from Zundert, where you're based. I'm from Breda myself. So maybe Keith should come visit me in Breda, and we'll drive over to Zundert and see the plant. I want to have the last question before handing over to Sven Meyer of 4Impact to introduce our second pitch of the day. And that's by Magdalena. Magdalena, are you there? And do you mind maybe switch on your camera and mic and share your question with us? Yeah, great. There you are. We see you.
Hello, thanks. Yeah, I was just thinking when scaling to other countries, whether you can actually grow tea on social farms, whether it's suitable for this type of farming. Because when you were describing, you know, that it doesn't require that much care and the plants just grow if it's suitable.
It is perfectly possible for social farms because the farming site needs very low intensity and also not big amounts of labor. It's we are doing now on the farm with 3 people what we were with other plants we're doing with 20. And yeah, you know, they need to maintain the plants, and that can be perfectly done on a social farm.
Great, thank you very much, Katrien. I see you popped in a question as well. I will ask Johan to ask that, or maybe to answer it in the chat box, so we can move on to our second pitch. Thank you, Johan. Thank you, Johan's friend, who I don't see the name of. Thank you, Marijn, for sharing your case. And with that, I'd like to hand over to Sven. Sven, are you there? Thank you.
I'm here, Martijn. Good morning.
Yeah.
Good morning, Sven. Good morning.
Good morning.
Sven, I'll let you do your own introduction. Can you tell a bit more about 4Impact and the venture you are about to present? I think you prepared some slides as well. I don't know.
Yes, should I share them myself? Is that okay?
Yes. Can you? Can somebody make Sven co-host, please? Yeah. Okay. Then we got it already.
Already done. Okay. Cool. Fantastic. Well, good morning, everyone. My name is Sven Meyer. I'm an analyst at 4Impact Capital. We're a Dutch-based impact venture fund. We're based in The Hague, actually, and we invest in digital tech for good ventures across Europe. And I must add, we're quite a young EVPA member, so I think this is our second event, and you know, very happy to be here and see this international community come together. A little bit of background on 4Impact. We launched our first fund in 2019 and have so far invested in 11 incredible, impactful ventures. 2 of which I'll share with you today, and SolarMonkey is going to be here to pitch as well. We're currently raising our second fund, actually. That'll be a 100 million pan-European fund with a focus on Northwestern Europe. So Benelux, DACH, and Nordics are going to be the sort of focus markets there. And the mandate for the second fund is going to be the same as in the first fund, namely digital tech for good ventures that have a positive impact on either environment, inclusion, or health and well-being. And maybe just say 1 or 2 lines on Circularise, who some of you may have seen on the website in the preamble to this event, but the plans have shifted around a little bit. But Circularise is one of our later investments, and Circularise are facilitating the shift to the circular economy, and they do this by using a decentralized blockchain which enables companies to digitize and trace materials or even components of materials in the very complex supply chains. And one of their beachhead markets is the polymers market. And in that they work with companies like Covestro and Porsche to enable sort of full traceability, full transparency in the supply chains. So a couple words on Circularise. I'll wrap it up and move on to SolarMonkey, the star of the show today. But Circularise, by the way, we're also working on a financing round at the moment. But on to SolarMonkey. SolarMonkey was actually our second investment that we made with 4Impact. And SolarMonkey's software solution basically enables solar providers to become significantly more efficient in the way they monitor and install solar panels on people's homes. And by that, they really accelerate the energy transition in Europe. And they were one of the first to introduce a LiDAR-based 3D design software and are on their way to European market leadership. And with that, we really believe there's a range of business opportunities that SolarMonkey can enable, and the solar market in Europe still carries large untapped potential. We've seen a little bit of acceleration and a bit more focus on the market with the recent energy crisis. So this is certainly an exciting time for renewable energy and for solar in particular. And the Dutch, funnily enough, are also leaders in the solar space, and building on that excellent reputation, this really puts SolarMonkey, we think, in a fantastic position to internationalize even further. And we have Jan Pieter in the studio, I believe, and Jan Pieter is part of a passionate team at SolarMonkey. And with that, I'll hand it over to Jan Pieter. I see things are still moving in the studio.
Jan Pieter, are you joining us as well?
Hello. We're trying to bring Peter online, so just a second for this.
Well, maybe this gives me the opportunity then to thank 4Impact for being here as well as The Hague impact investor. So happy to see that you're presenting SolarMonkey here. So SolarMonkey is one of the companies in The Hague as well, and very good to hear that they're actually being presented here. So Sven, maybe because you said SolarMonkey is going to be online in a second. You said Circularise was also going to start a new funding round. Can you say a little bit more about this until SolarMonkey actually joins us?
Well, on Circularise, we're
we're finalizing the details. That's as much as I can say at the moment, but things are moving quickly there. But I have to keep it vague at this stage.
Okay, I totally understand. And if you look at the current fund that you're rolling out, how much more room is there for investing in the current round? And please interrupt me, Martijn.
No, please continue. We're waiting for Jan-Pieter to join.
So can you say a little bit more about if is it already fully invested, or is there
the second fund? Yes. Yeah, no. So there's definitely still room in the second fund. We're opting for a first close by the middle of the year, and there'll be opportunities also to join later on. But there's definitely still room for tickets, large and small. So if anyone in the community here in the call today is interested in investing in the second fund, 4Impact, then please do reach out to either Ali, Pauline, or myself. I believe I have the contact details here. Put those on the screen for a second. Ali and Pauline are our co-founders and managing partners. And you could drop us an email at either Ali, Pauline, or Sven at 4impact.vc. So that's the second fund.
How's it going?
Any news on Jan-Pieter?
Jan-Pieter is not in the call yet, so we'll give it a few seconds to allow him in. I know he had an important call before this one, but he just sent me a text message. Can you send me the link? I think Sarah had an opportunity as well to bring him on board, so he possibly was in the call already, but currently he's not.
Okay, but things are happening in the background.
Things are happening. There's a lot happening. It's ongoing. It's ongoing. So maybe you can introduce it yourself a bit already. You probably did while I was not listening, but
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, let me say a couple of words on SolarMonkey. I think SolarMonkey is one of the first companies in the solar space to use sensing technology. So what they do is they use satellite imagery to analyze potential solar sites for residential clients, and they sell this software to solar energy providers, so those that are going to be installing the panels. And basically, the software allows these solar companies, solar panel providers, to do this whole process, the assessment of potential sites, to do this entirely remotely. So they don't have to send an engineer to the site. They can just use the satellite images and the analysis that is done in the SolarMonkey software to assess the potential for a site. You know, which panels do we need there, and what sort of capacities can we install in these sites. And this, I mean, first of all, you know, it's fantastic for process optimization for these solar companies, but also significantly lowers and also the cost for the adoption of residential solar panels. So this is also where we see the impact link very strongly. Basically, yeah, widening the potential customer groups for residential solar.
I think
does that help?
I think I just saw a second Martijn Blom entering the room, and I'm still in this room, so that must mean that Jan-Pieter has found us. Jan-Pieter, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. Sorry, I forgot my camera here, but I'll present there. So yes, hi, good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Good morning. So we'll be looking at your curls while you present your slides.
I'll be standing up, don't worry.
Okay, great.
Can I stop sharing my screen?
Please, Sven. Yes, and thank you for the introduction.
All right. So good morning, everybody. I will just share my screen as well. Just a second.
I hope the meeting with the investors went well before this meeting.
Absolutely. Yeah. So it's a busy day. I'm going from meeting into meeting, but yeah, part of my job. So and very happy to be here, and thank you so much for the invitation. And yeah, I'm very happy to share a bit more about SolarMonkey.
Great.
And yeah, who we are and what we do.
Good. Thank you.
Right. So I'm just looking for the share screen. There we go. All right, so you should be able to see my screen now, right?
Yes, we see it.
All right. So, good morning, everyone. My name is Jan-Pieter, and I'm the founder and CEO at SolarMonkey. And just to introduce myself briefly, I founded SolarMonkey 6 years ago. Before that, I worked as a strategy consultant in the UK. From education, I have a background in mechanical engineering and sustainable energy, and always had a big passion for entrepreneurship. And that started during my studies, where I founded 2 companies. One I exited through sales to a recruitment firm, and the other one has bled to death. So I saw both sides of the coin there. But what I really experienced is how much fun it is and how rewarding it is to start with a vision and really build that towards a thriving, or even when it's not thriving, to build it towards a company and actually put something into practice. So what do we do at SolarMonkey? Is we accelerate the solar energy transition. And how do we do that? Is by offering software solutions to solar PV installers that help them to work much more effectively. And with our software, our clients can design, sell, and monitor solar PV installations with unprecedented ease. We are the European market leader with more than 500 clients and just over 2 million of recurring revenue. And to fuel this mission, we are looking for an investment round of 5 million. Of course, also together with 4Impact, who's been on board with us for a couple of years now. Very grateful for that, and also very grateful for Impact. Thank you again to speak here at this event. So let's dive into what we do exactly. But first, let's dive into the solar market itself. And the solar markets are booming, and it may well be the world's leading electricity supply by 2050. And that's a big achievement already, because when we started 5 or 6 years ago, we still spoke about solar energy as alternative energy. And it is not alternative anymore. It is a booming market. It's a multi-billion market annually. And historically, we've seen the worldwide market grow from 23 gigawatt peaks to 138 gigawatt peaks of annually installed solar per year. It's 20% growth per year. And it's expected to grow to 250 gigawatt peaks by 2025, reaching an over 200 billion euro market size. And what we also see recently with the increasing gas prices and also the unfortunate war in Ukraine, we see a large increase in demand. And yeah, these targets are even very likely to be beaten as they've done in the past. So a lot of work to be done, a lot of opportunities. However, in this growing market, we also see that there are a couple of pain points to keep up with the growing demand. And one of them is that the sales and quotation process is rather inefficient. The status quo is when you want a quote for your house or for your building, for your commercial roof, you call an installer, he comes to visit your location, measure the roof dimensions. That installer will use his own calculation model to calculate the yields, generate a quote, and it will take around 5 hours to generate a full design calculation and quote. And imagine that you have to do 5 of those to close one deal. So that means 25 hours goes into acquisition alone. Then after installation, there's often little aftercare. And with no service contracts in place, it can become an increasingly large problem with portfolios that are getting bigger and older. And also many upsell opportunities are left on the table. And that's a waste because, well, people are proud of their solar panels. They can be ambassadors of those installers. They can buy new products in the future, like batteries, like heat pumps. And there's so much opportunity that is left untapped. And then finally, the supply chain is very badly connected. Pricing and availability is untransparent. And especially in times of high demand as now, that is super important. And supply is very unpredictable, and it's very hard for installers to get a grasp of what they can get in the future against which pricing. Ordering is inefficient. It's often done by email. So there's a lot of room for improvement there. So we offer software solutions to help those installers to be more effective, decrease cost, and achieve higher profitability. So first of all, with our design and sales product, this has been our bread and butter. We are the market leader in the Netherlands. We also operate in Belgium and in Spain, and we're going to expand this further internationally. A full design and a quote can be made within a few minutes instead of hours. So it slashes their acquisition costs with up to 60%, meaning an increase of margin of hundreds of dollars per installation. And learning how to use our software is super easy. Like, I can teach anyone within this digital room to use our software, to design a solar panel system and to calculate the yields within maybe 1 hour or so. And that is super important because most of our users, they are not engineers, they are salespeople selling the solar panels, and we make it super easy for them. Then after installation, we monitor the performance of existing installation. Our clients don't have to watch anything anymore. We do it for them. So again, we save a lot of time. And what we also do is we offer them the opportunity to keep those clients engaged, to earn money on service contracts, but also to keep those upsell opportunities in the future. And we do this through continuous monitoring and a client engagement platform to keep those clients engaged. And then finally, and this is something that a product that we don't have yet, but we see opportunities for the future, it's what we call marketplace. Now, all of those systems that are designed and sold in SolarMonkey, they have to procure those materials from somewhere as well. So integrating with wholesalers and manufacturers really brings together those different parts of the supply chain. Then as well, a big bottleneck in the market is installation capacity. So where do you find the people to actually do the installations? So with the volumes through our software, we can become a marketplace to book installation teams. And this is how you make it really super efficient. So imagine from SolarMonkey, I design a solar panel system, I sell it, I procure my materials, I have them drop shipped the week afterwards at the location it should be. And I can also book my installation team. And then within an hour from behind my laptop, I have fully facilitated a solar installation. And this really brings the whole supply chain a lot more effective. In terms of market size, we see a total market size of 8.4 billion of different opportunities. Geographically, we first choose to focus on the European market, after which, well, there will be other emerging markets. The United States is super interesting. Australia is super interesting, but we also see African, South American, and Asian markets really coming up. Then if you look at competition, you might have heard from a large company called Aurora Solar, raising a whopping $475 million in the past year. And on the one hand, it can be seen as a threat, like it's a competing party with big financial firepower. On the other hand, we like to see it as a big confirmation that there is so much happening in the market. There is so much opportunity. And geographically, we see that Aurora really focuses on the United States and most likely on Australia. And really, we have a lot of opportunity to become the market leader in Europe. And yeah, where Aurora Solar can be the unicorn of the United States, we can be the unicorn of Europe. And if you look at our growth strategy, we wish to grow along two axes. Sorry, that's my phone ringing on the background. And one axis is international expansion, of course. So in the next couple of years, we envision to roll out to 10 new countries. And the other axis is product diversification. Our product started quite niche, which is a great thing because it allowed us to have a great market penetration, but also we see a lot of opportunities like aftercare, like marketplace to increase the revenue per account. And this really gives us a growth flywheel because first of all, we increase the number of clients internationally. Secondly, we increase the revenue per account by increasing the number of features through product diversification. And thirdly, I already mentioned, we see a lot of natural growth of our existing clients, the existing markets. So add those three multiplications together, we really envision this exponential growth. Then a little bit about where we are today. And this is a graph, and this is some figures that I'm updating every month. So we are now over a 2 million recurring run rate. And actually the last 2 months have been 2.4 million recurring revenue run rate. We're active in 3 countries, Netherlands, Belgium, and Spain. 350,000 unique addresses are designed through our software per year. We serve over 500 B2B clients, monitor about 18,000 systems, and we've achieved all of that, of course, without investments, and 1.6 million invested in our company so far through external investors. We won a couple of awards that we're pretty proud of, for instance, by Deloitte, being in the top 50 fastest growing companies in the Netherlands, and also being the most disruptive innovator. Yeah, quite a buzzword, but of course, we're very happy to win such awards and receive the recognition from the market. We are at the moment cash flow positive and even profitable, but we have our larger ambitions, launching ourselves into Europe, the next strategic horizon, and that's why we're looking for a 5 million investment, which will lead us to over 20 million revenue and 7 million EBITDA by 2027. This is the team that's going to achieve it. Well, I've introduced myself. We have Tino de Bruin, a big mastermind, a technical mastermind who's responsible for the technological team. Anne-Marie, ex-Tesla, Zonnen and Unu, who is leading the commercial teams. And in total, we are just over 30 FTE strong, all very driven to achieve those ambitious results. And that's in brief what I'd like to share with you. And yeah, very keen to hear your questions.
Great, thank you, Jan-Pieter, for this presentation. It's so funny to see and realizing that when I hear your pitch, that I see you're active in Spain already, and you're reaching out to some of the countries, and I think we need to promote that more in our deal sharings, and we will share the recordings with those that said to me, I'm not joining today because I'm only investing in Spain. This is something I just realized by your pitch. Getting over to different, is there anyone in the room that has a question for Jan-Pieter on his presentation? Oh, then I'm going to ask Irene again to kick off the questions. Yes, well, that's how we do it.
Well, Jan-Pieter, I'm already typing you a message via my WhatsApp because I realize it's good to hear our entrepreneurs more often and see what they're what stage they're at. And so I've got some potential opportunities that I'll share with you separately.
Thanks so much.
But maybe if I get the opportunity to get the first question, if you're looking for an investor, what is it specifically you're looking for in an investor in this new round?
So there's a couple of things. I mean, first of all, of course, the finances, but there are many more things an investor can bring to the table. And with scaling a company, we have a lot of large challenges ahead of us. I mean, we're scaling internationally, so that's a big challenge. So an investor that brings an international network to the table, especially in the energy or the solar PV scene, is super valuable. Secondly, we're scaling a software product, a software SaaS product, which is another very difficult challenge that we need to tackle. So bringing knowledge and experience to the table on how to scale a SaaS product, again, would be super valuable. And thirdly, what is super valuable for us is a party that has experience in scaling commercial teams. And that is both through direct sales, but also through digital marketing. So how do you build up the exposure in a new market? How can you launch and scale quickly? So that is sort of the 3 factors that are challenges for us. And bringing knowledge and experience to the table on those 3 things would be very valuable to us.
That's very clear. Thanks, Jan-Pieter.
Thank you, Jan-Pieter. I don't see any more questions for now. And actually, we are coming to the end of the organization already, to the end of this event already. We have been recording this session. Like last time, we will be sharing the recordings with investors in our network that are interested. So I definitely presume that some questions might pop up later. Your details are in here as well, so we know where to find you and how to get back to you. Thank you. That leads me to actually some closing words. One, there is an evaluation. Maybe Sarah can share it in the chat box if Sarah's still there. Otherwise we'll be sending a message to all participants afterwards, and we'll do that anyway. So you can fill out the evaluation. It would be will be very appreciated if you do so. Secondly, I want to say that the next Spring Up the Deal session will be on the 1st of June. We'll be getting to you from Vienna with our partners Tilia and actually Christine from Georgia will be presenting the fund that we've been setting up there lately as well. At Vienna, we will be recording from Impact Hub, where the Impact Days are taking place. So looking forward to see you there, to see you all there as well. And then the next one, as I said, will be on fair fashion, together with Mikke from MVU, and we're still seeing how we can bring on board some extra partners as well for that session. Late June, date to be announced soon. We'll hope to have that all fixed within the next week or so. That's it for now. I'd like to thank the pitchers, Jan-Pieter, Johan has already gone, DOEN Participaties, Marijn, and LocalTea, and of course Impact City for hosting us here in the studio in The Hague. And we look forward to seeing you all soon again. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Have a good day.
Thank you all. Bye-bye.
Thank you.